Okay, there's a lot of get rich quick schemes on the internet, and this one is an honest one. It's not get rich quick, it's how to actually get rich. And I want you to bear with me. This is not bullshit. This is not a scam. I'm not selling anything. This is free information and it's valuable. Trust me. This is the reason you should pay attention in math school. And I know 80% of you don't get this. If you learn this when you're young, you will get rich. Okay? Trust me, you will get rich and still be able to have fun. This is not a rich but be horrible, have a horrible life. I just need 10 minutes of your time. So I know that's a lot. You can probably get the gist in 5 minutes, but I just need 10 minutes. So I'm going to close that one. That one's gone. Now, what am I talking about? I am talking about the magic of investment, compound interest. And I want you to look at this. This is the stock market. Over the last 100 years, the stock market has averaged 10%. I want you to keep that in mind. We're not going to use 10%, we're going to use 9%. But that means if you put in $100 at the beginning of the year, you get 110 by the end of the year. And that's not quite accurate because this is an average. Some years it's better than 10%, some years it's worse than 10%. So if you happen to hit the good year, you get 20 bucks back. If you happen to get the bad year, you get $5 or sometimes nothing back. And sometimes it can lose, but that's why over time is what I want to focus on. Because when you take anything over time, all those ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs that happen in the stock market end up averaging to 10%. So I want you to get this, keep this in mind. Time is on your side. The sooner you do this, the better. The younger you do this, the better. The more you can do it, the better, but we're not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on a small amount. So let's say you work at McDonald's for a year, you're saving up for university. In McDonald's, in a good year, you can make $22,000. And when you're young, that can seem like a lot. As you get older, you realize that's not that much. But you can easily spare $1,000 out of it. No way, I can't spare $1,000. Yes, you can, and I know you can. And I want to show you ways of getting that $1,000. You need to come up with $1,000 any way you can. Work a short job on the side, write essays, do someone's mow someone's lawn. If you mow, okay, let's say you mow a neighbor's lawn, 20 bucks once a week, and shovel their driveway once a week. That's times 52 weeks. That is $1,040. I don't want to do that. Okay, fine. You know that Starbucks you get once a week? Let's say you pay $6, and I know you're probably paying more. Right there, that's 300 bucks. Don't get that Starbucks. Make your coffee at home. Oh, but I like Starbucks. So we're getting to the point is you'd rather have a Starbucks than be a millionaire. So don't do that. Okay, what about buying that new phone? How about you skip this year? Boom. There's 600 right there. Oh, I don't buy that much. Well, you probably buy that much in games. Okay. How about this last one? Here's an easy way for me to show that you're wasting that money. Let me look at it here. I had it down here. You know how you buy lunch at work? You go to work and you buy your lunch. You buy your lunch every day at school, let's say. So 5 times a week. That's at least 10 bucks. That's at least 50 times per week. Guess what? That is $2,500 you're throwing away. Bag of lunch twice a day, twice a week, and you get your $1,000. Okay, there's a million ways to come up with $1,000. If you have to beg, $1,000 is only going to be 20 bucks a day. You can come up with 20 bucks a day. Just cut out something in your life. Look at something in your life, and if you don't know how to do that, I can show you how to do that, but you can come up with 20 bucks a day. But definitely, if you're working at McDonald's, take 20 out of your paycheck. After 2 weeks, take the 200 bucks, because your paycheck, sorry, you won't even need that much. It's going to be 140 off of this week. So every week, take 140 off of your paycheck and put it aside, put it in the bank. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at what I'm talking about. If you take $1,000, okay, and you save it, and here's the thing I want you to focus on. This is the compound interest formula. Looks crazy, it looks hard, it looks annoying, I don't want to learn it. Over here's what you should focus on. If you take $1,000 at 9% and you invest it for 40 years, this is the formula. You take 1.09, you put it to the power of 40 in your calculator, you multiply it by 1,000. Let me show you what you get. 1.09, and that's lower than the stock market. I'm just accounting for taxes, to the power of 40 times 1,000. Boom, your $1,000 turns into $31,400. I might have gotten that wrong. Yeah, 40 years. So if you're 20 now, when you cash it out at 60, that's what you get. So let's do that again. I got it right. 1.09 to the power of 40 years. So when you're 60, and some of you say, I'm not living till 60, you're all going to live till 60. And then times that $1,000, you get $30,000, 31,400. So that $1,000 becomes 31,409. Now let's just say that's all you do. Let's just say this summer you work, or next summer you work, and you get that 1,000 and you go to the bank, and I'll tell you how to do that, and you invest it and you don't touch it. By the time you're 60, you have a gift for your daughter, for your son, for whoever, or you have some sort of amount that you can now use. You can put it towards your retirement, and that's just $1,000 that you put away in 2022, and you didn't touch it. Suddenly, when you're 60, you've got $31,000 from that 1,000, and that's simply investing in the stock market. And I'll show you why I'm not selling anything at 9% at 1,000. But let's go further. Let's go further. That's 1,000, 31,000. That sure beats having a Starbucks. I'll tell you that right now. Boom, 31,000 from not buying a Starbucks. Think about it. That Starbucks you having this year costs you 31,000 in your future. Well, I'm not going to live that long. I don't need it in the future. Yeah, you know you do. We all do. You will. And that's the problem, is when you're young, you think, I'm not going to need all this stuff. I'm going to get rich being a rock star. No, just if you're average like me, like everybody else, 99% of us are average. So that says it's very likely that you're an average person who should be listening to me. Yeah, I'm talking fast like a salesman because I'm trying to keep it down to 10 minutes. All right, so we've learned that at $1,000 just alone turns into 31,000. What if you take $100,000 in every year, 2021, 2022, 2023, you keep every year, January 1st, like a New Year's resolution, you stick that 1,000 into your investment, and I'll get to that in a second, and you don't touch it, and you just save it for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Let's look at that. I've got an Excel sheet up right here that does just that, okay? It's going to show you just that. So here's the year, and it's counting down, and we're going to just go to 40 years later. So 40 years later, we're just going to go to there. We're going to get rid of everything else, okay? And actually, let's go to 30 years later. Here's 30 years later, and let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to look at the first amount. The first amount says that I'm going to take this amount, and now I'm going to change this to 9% because that's what the amount is, what I was saying, instead of 10. And the reason I'm choosing 9% because at the end of each year you will have taxes, and it will be roughly 1%. It grows, but you'll see that 9 is a good amount to use. Okay, let's look at that first amount. And we have to stop at the 50. We have to say, instead, we're going to look at 30 and 29. Okay, so we're only going to look at the next 30 years. So that's right now. If you're 20, that's when you're 50. If we are 30, that's when you're 60. But it still works if you're 20 to 30. And that means I'm going to take this initial amount and I'm going to multiply it by 1.09 to the power of 30 years. The same thing I did before. And yeah, hang on, it didn't quite get what I'm getting. It's B2 times 1.9 to the power of that. And let's see, to the power of D2. Oh, that should have all worked out. Yeah, let's just put in 1,000 here, see if it gets it. There it goes. It got it that time. Oh, it's the multiplication I didn't have. Sorry, I'm just used to using math symbols. So that $1,000 over 30 years, you can see how much smaller it is. Remember that 40 years was 31,000? Look how difference that 10 makes. That's only 13,000. But the nice thing is next year in 2022, we're going to do it again. We're going to invest $1,000 at 9%, and that one's only going to earn 12,000 because it only lasted for 29 years. You can see as each year that we wait, we are losing out a little bit until the final last year. Boom. And now I'm going to add all that up. Right here, I'm going to add all that up because that's each individual one. This one earns 13,000 and this next 1,000 earns 12,000. And technically, it's not accurate because, oh no, that's accurate. So I'm going to add it all up. Sum of E2 to E1,000. And it's just going to add it all up. That means after 30 years, your $1,000 a year, which is $30,000, turned into $150,000. That's quite a nest egg, and yeah, it's not going to be worth as much with inflation because inflation is roughly 1%. But, you know, I could take another 1% off that 9% just to adjust for inflation. But it's pretty accurate. But I want to show you something interesting. Let's add another 10 years. Let's add another 10 years. Okay. We're going to add another $1,000. And we're going to add that, make sure that 9% is in there. And now we're going to count down from 40 to 39. And we're going to count for 40 years. And we're going to do it. Okay? Just like that. Right to there. And we're going to drag the formula down. So we've added another 10 years onto our savings. And yeah, look at these early amounts. $1,000 didn't grow much. But look at how much the $1,000, this is at 31,000 we talked about before. It grew, and suddenly you've gone from, you remember it was like 140,000? It's doubled and more. It's doubled and more. So we can see the longer we do it, the better. But here's something. What happens if instead of 1,000, I manage to save 1,500? We won't even go to 2,000. We'll go to 1,500. Let's say you save up all your birthday gifts that you get, and every birthday you say, hey, I want some money. Can you please give me 1,500? So I'm going to put 1,500 here, and I'm just going to drag it down. Okay. And there we go. So let's go back and look. Oh, that went from 440. Remember, it was 440,000 to $500,000. But you might say, I can't do that. You know, I can't save that much. It's impossible. You'd be surprised what you can do when you suddenly realize the power of this. Let's go back to 1,000. Instead, we're going to extend the years and just say 50 years till you're 70. It's okay if you dip in it here and there, so long as you replenish it, because stuff happens. And then I'm going to get into how you do this and where you do it. And you invest your $1,000, and you do it at 9%. And instead, like I said, and you might say, oh, that's too far in the future. And fair enough. The secret to getting rich faster is increase the amount that you're investing. Okay? And then we're going to just drag the formula down. And I want to show you something amazing. Remember, it was $500,000. It's now 895,000. 800. That's almost $1 million. So that $1,000 a year over 50 years, which is only $50,000, turns into $1 million if you start now. Now you might say, well, where do I get this compound interest? And you're right, you can't just go to a bank. A savings account only offers you like 1%, or actually I think it's down like 0.4%. It's useless. That's 4 on the 1,000. Every $1,000 they're going to give you $4. That's useless. You can't do it, just plunk it in the savings account. Don't leave it in the savings account. Well, $1,000 isn't going to get me even any one stock in anything, and you're right. So let's go on at how you do it. But I want to just show you one thing. What if I double this to 2,000? Okay, if I double it to 2,000, and let's just drag it all the way down and see what you're going to earn just by doubling it. Okay. That went to $1.7 million. So all the more reason to start now. Now let's just say you can't start now. Let's say you can only come up with 500, but you can increase it to 600 by 100 every year because you get better and better at it, which means you're going to increase your investment as you get older. It's going to get quite big as you get older, but it's not too bad. It only becomes 6,000 when you're older. Let's see if you do it that way. Yep. If you start with 500 and you increase your investment every year by $100, meaning you put 600 in next year, 700 in next year, 800 in 2024, and you keep doing that, your investment grows. Because obviously, as your salary will go up as you age, you'll get better and better jobs. And this is just, you can do this with McDonald's. I hear people say, I can't do this on minimum wage. You certainly can't do it with children. If you have children, you have to get a better job. Children will pretty much suck this dry. And that's not to say sacrifice happiness with a family for this. That's to say find a way to work another job or to learn a skill set that will pay you more. And I'm going to get to that in another video. But let's look at this. How do I do it? How do I get that 10%? All right. The sooner you do this, the better. So I'm just going to move this around, okay? The sooner you do this, the better. Time's on your side. How do I pick my investment is the next one. How do I pick my investment? Speak with as many financial specialists. All banks have them. Just call your bank and say, I want to sit down with a financial investment. Use the big banks. Choose one that has the best advice. So the one that suggests you diversify is the best advice. And why do you diversify? Because when stocks go up, bonds, and when stocks go down, bonds go up. When stocks go up, bonds go down, bonds go up. When stocks go up, bonds go down. Throw some gold in there. Throw some index funds in there. Throw some guaranteed funds in there. But the more it's balanced, the more consistent its gains will be. Sorry about the missing T. Its gains will be the more it's balanced. The more you take a huge risk, yeah, you could have a huge gain if you put it all in stocks. It could be a booming year. Or suddenly you could have a big crash and you lose 8% of everything. And risk is good as you're young, but as you get older, risk should go down. So when you're young, higher risk. And as you get older, lowest risk. So in between that, you should adjust your portfolio to be quite risky in the beginning, like 90% bonds, 90% stock. And by the time you're older, it should be 10% stock, 90% bonds. And you don't want to adjust every year, and here's why. Adjust that at diversification every 5 years, and maybe not, it depends what you're buying, but I say not sooner, and the reason is coming up. You adjust this because as you age, you want to take less risk. When you're young, you want to take more risk, stock heavy, less risk, bond heavy, and GIC heavy. And the reason you take more risk when you're young is because those percentages that you could gain can increase from 9% as high as like 16% if you hit a booming year. If you're good with stock and stock analysis, take another 1,000 and gamble with that other 1,000, not this 1,000. And why not sooner? Because every time you sell and buy, the banks will take a fee, and that comes off your bottom line. So make sure you understand what the bank and agency fees are, because banks love that you buy, sell, change banks, all that stuff, because they always get a fee when you change your mind. If you're good at studying market, do it yourself, but with an extra $1,000 until you can prove your results, because otherwise you'll lose it, and you'll say, oh, his advice was wrong. Taxes, yes, but the taxes won't be significant for the first 10 years. By then, you'll have other income to pay. Yeah, but I want to buy a house, and that's fair enough. Do you know why the reason most people buy houses and not stocks? Because they didn't take this advice, and houses are incredibly safe. But houses only appreciate about 4 or 5% on average. Yeah, the last 10 years have been booming. The last year was like 15% or something. But before that, in 1980 to 2000, houses actually did not go up in value at all. And sometimes they went down. 2008 example, everything went to like half value. So houses are a safe investment. That's what you do when you're older. And yeah, if you have a family, it's smarter to buy a house than to rent. But the stock market beats that. And houses are a safe purchase. Most people don't do the above, but the house forces them to save for retirement. That's what a house does. Consider your house as a side investment, but if you absolutely must, yes, buy a house instead of what I'm saying this, and always buy a house instead of rent. Anytime you live in a location more than 6 years, a house will get you far more money back than renting. And yeah, if you're unable to save for a house, that's why this $1,000 a year thing I'm suggesting is better, because most people right now do not have the down payment for a house because they think year to year. If you'd taken that $1,000 thing and saved it over the next 15 years with this method, let's look at that. Will you have enough to put a down payment in a house? So we're just going to look at the next 15 years. Will you have enough? Actually, let's be even nicer. Let's say 10. Will you have enough money if you put this 1,000 in to put a down payment on a house? And we're just going to go to here. And 10 years is right there. and we're going to get rid of everything else here. You will have $16,000. That's enough for a down payment of a $160,000 house. You can see it isn't that good, is it? What if, oh, that's the 500 amount thing. Let's go back to the 1,000. Okay. Yes, you'll have 17,000, so that's 170,000. Notice that 500, 600 was still pretty much the same amount. So that means if you're going to save for a house by the time you're 35 using this method, you should put 2,000 in. You get 35,000. Why doesn't it grow as fast? Because time is what benefits compound interest. That's why this method is better if you do it over 30 years, 40 years, and you could see the last 10 years is the big payoff. That's because the interest gains interest. All right. What about if you're good at studying the stock? Yeah, okay. Yes, a house if you have to. Where do I get the 1,000 or 2,000? The Starbucks you do every week, that's 300 right there. Make your own coffee. Buying lunch every week, bag it. That's 3,000 right there. Boom, you have your 2,000. Buying a new phone every year, you're essentially throwing away $1 million to look cool today. There you go. I don't think I kept with 10 minutes, but that is how you become rich. The secret is compound interest, starting when you're young, a good chunk, a good size, and time. And speak to a good financial advisor to get that 9%. Chances are you can do even better than 9%. If you can increase this and increase this, you're a millionaire in 30 years. Good luck. I hope this reached somebody.